Hey Lake Point, Pastor Mike here to get you caught up on the 5th week of our series, Dollars and Cents, a series where we're looking at what the Bible really communicates about money, a series all about kingdom stewardship. One of the big ideas that we've looked at is this, that stewardship is about wisdom, not wealth. It's about handling money in a way that reflects the wisdom of our King. And this week, Pastor Nate tackled the importance of having a budget. Stats say that financial stress is the leading cause of strain on marriages today. 75% of Canadians live paycheck to paycheck. The average consumer debt in Ontario, which is typically the stuff you purchase with a credit card, is $22,000 per person. Furthermore, Canadians save less than 3% of their disposable income. We live in a world where we are constantly bombarded by messages that say more is better, and that the only way to increase your quality of life is to raise your standard of living by getting bigger houses, nicer vehicles, and better vacations. But the truth is that there's a big difference between your standard of living and your quality of life. We often confuse the two. Standard of living has to do with the stuff we accumulate. Quality of living is about the peace we experience. The sad reality is you can raise your standard of living through debt while at the same time lowering your quality of life. No matter the size of the paycheck, many Canadians spend more than they make, leaving them with no financial margin and increasing debt, which causes more stress and more problems in their lives. Debt, it puts us in bondage. This emotional strain that comes from financial pressure causes relational problems as well. It becomes really hard to exercise love and patience and kindness and gratitude when we're feeling the stress of financial pressure. What happens is our health suffers, our relationships suffer, and the quality of life starts to suffer as well. It's why there's a better way to live, and it's found in the scriptures. It's found when we learn to handle money God's way. God's way of handling money is countercultural. It's to live within your means, to spend less than you make. When you live within your means, you sleep better at night, you get along better with those around you, you're more generous with your time, and you're more generous with your money, and you just enjoy life more. So how do we live within our means? Well, the first step is to stop borrowing money. Purchase a used, reliable vehicle rather than financing a fancy new one. Cook your own meals rather than order out. Take your family on a camping vacation rather than a 10-day cruise. Don't borrow money for consumer needs, and when you get a mortgage, be vigilant in paying it off. The second step is to pick a percentage of your income to live off of. As Nate shared, the reality is that everyone lives off a certain percentage of their income. The problem is that most people have no idea what that percentage is. It's why they often spend more than they make. But people who live within their means predetermine that percentage. The value of a percentage is that it is black and white, easy to measure, and it takes all the emotions out of the decision-making process. The third step is to set up a budget and to review it monthly. John Maxwell says a budget is people telling their money where to go instead of wondering where it went. If you want to win with your finances, if you want to create some financial breathing room, you have to get on a budget. You have to predetermine where your money is going to go before you spend it. Now, when it comes to a monthly budget, there are a couple of additional items that every financial coach will tell you are extremely important, especially if you plan on succeeding. Well, first, you need to spend every dollar before the month begins. You need to give every dollar of your income a name before the month starts. Every single dollar. Second, develop your budget together and work on it as a team if you're married. The most powerful tool you have in marriage is unity, yet few married couples are united when it comes to finances. In fact, the number one contributing factor to friction and division in marriage today is financial stress. That's why developing a budget can be so powerful. It provides an opportunity to work together to grow in unity. Each month you get to sit down, discuss your goals, review your budget, and agree on the game plan, which strengthens your marriage. None of us want to feel constantly pressured and feel this stress or fearful of the future or to be freaking out on our kids and our spouse all the time. At the end of the day, we all want peace, and that can only be achieved when we live within our means. Jesus talked about money more than any other topic because he knew how easily we could become a slave to it. Look at what he says in Luke chapter 16, verse 13. He says, "No one can serve two masters." Some of you know this to be true. You've worked in a factory where you've had two bosses, or you grew up in a home where your parents divorced but shared custody of you, and so you had two different people telling you what to do. If you've ever had two masters, you know how torn you feel. There's a tension because you can't fully serve either one of them. And Jesus gets this struggle. That's why he goes on to say, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other. Jesus says that if you're ever in a situation where you're in a tug of war and you've got two different people, two different groups telling you what to do, then you'll be inclined to lean towards one and lean away from the other. And so what's Jesus' point? Well, he finishes his thought with the phrase, you cannot serve both God and money. Jesus wants you to know it's impossible to obey the financial, emotional, and relational teaching of Jesus when you have no financial breathing room. Financially, you can't obey Jesus' teaching to tithe, support, and give. Emotionally, you can't obey Jesus' teaching not to worry when you have no financial peace. And relationally, you can't obey Jesus' command to love one another when you're too stressed out. Both God and money can't be your masters. You can only have one. And if you have no financial breathing room, you don't even get to pick. Money is your master. It's why Nate encouraged all of us to get out of debt, to live within our means, and to actually create a budget. This may require you to lower your standard of living for a season, to downsize your house, get out of your car payment, quit eating out, but that's okay because what's really important is not your standard of living, but your quality of life. Well, friends, thanks for listening. I'll see you next time. Enjoy jumping into discussion questions.